That rumbling sound you hear in the distance is the motorcade revving up out of Detroit because Cade Cunningham is turning heads and making his move up the Kia MVP ladder. Too soon to call him a serious contender? Not if you've been paying attention to what he's been up to with the now competitive Detroit Pistons. Since the start of 2025, Cunningham has been playing like a top 5 guy, and really, he's been solid all season. It's just that from November through December, his performances flew under the radar. But now that the Pistons are on a roll, winning 7 of their last 9 games, including an impressive road victory against the Knicks on Monday, all eyes are on him. And guess Cade really seems ready for the spotlight. The former number 1 overall pick from 2021 is finally healthy and showing off the skills that could very well land him a spot in next month's All-Star game. In January, he's been averaging 25.8 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 8.3 assists per game. And don't forget, the Pistons are without Jaden Ivey, who's been out for the season with a broken leg. That makes Cunningham's numbers even more impressive. Being able to play the game how you feel, how you see it, but obviously with great power comes great responsibility. You've got to make sure you're doing what's best for the team, Cunningham said. Now, we're not putting the cart before the horse. He's currently at number 9 on the MVP ladder. But let's be real, the guy deserves his flowers. Let's see how he handles all this hype, and more importantly, if he can lead the once struggling Pistons to the playoffs. That's what MVP candidates do. This week, though, the stage isn't just about Cunningham. We've also got our eyes on the wall, the raucous fan section at the LA Clippers' new Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Lakers are visiting on Sunday. The thought is, will it feel like a Clippers home game, or will Lakers fans take over? And speaking of stats, Luka Doncic, who's been recovering from injury, won't meet the required number of games played to qualify for major awards, so he's fallen off the ladder. As former NBA player Chandler Parsons put it, if I'm around the league and I'm watching teams play, he's another guy I would really enjoy playing with. Last year we were talking about Tyrese Halliburton. He's the new Tyrese Halliburton. He's that guy who is an absolute stud. Parsons is talking about Cade, of course. On Monday, Cunningham dropped 19 of his game-high 32 points in the third quarter, leading the Detroit Pistons to a 107-96 win over the Houston Rockets. He's also grabbed 9 rebounds and dished out 7 assists, making up for a shaky 10-turnover performance. Jalen Duren, meanwhile, added a perfect 16 points on 8 of 8 shooting with 14 rebounds, plus 4 steals and 2 blocks. The Pistons took control in the third quarter and held off Houston, even as the Rockets pulled within 5 points in the fourth. Fred VanVleet led Houston with 20 points and tied his season high with 6 steals, while Jalen Green added 19 points. Amen Thompson also chipped in 17 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals before fouling out. The Rockets struggled, giving up 28 fast break points and 50 points in the paint. Cunningham put the Pistons in the driver's seat in the third quarter, sparking a 13-0 run with a 3-pointer, followed by a pull-up jumper, another 3, and a couple of free throws. Detroit extended their lead to 79-64 during that stretch. Cunningham then capped the quarter with a buzzer-beating jumper that pushed the Pistons' lead to 90-80. In the fourth, when Houston closed the gap to 90-85, Marcus Sasser stepped up, sinking a floater and a 3-pointer to restore Detroit's 10-point lead. Cunningham and Duren got the Pistons off to a hot start, with Malik Beasley adding to the mix during a 16-1 run that helped them take a 40-29 lead by the end of the first quarter. Duren cleaned up on the offensive boards, and Beasley brought the energy with a fast break dunk and a 3-pointer. Detroit shot a scorching 61.5%, and racked up 13 fast break points while capitalizing on 7 Houston turnovers in the first quarter. Beasley finished with 17 points. Houston didn't back down, though. They answered with a 16-0 run in the second quarter, wiping out a 44-29 deficit. Cam Whitmore came off the bench and drained a 3, followed by an alley-oop dunk and an assist to ignite the rally. A pair of free throws from Tari Eason gave the Rockets a 45-44 lead with 6:27 left until halftime. The teams traded blows the rest of the half, with Tim Hardaway Jr. nailing a three-pointer just before the buzzer, sending the game into halftime, tied at 57. But while Cade Cunningham has only recently joined the party, who are the other names in the MVP conversation so far? Victor Wembanyama is currently holding the number 5 spot in the NBA rankings, but he's had a mixed bag of performances recently. The Spurs have hit a rough patch, losing 4 of their last 5 games, and Wembanyama will need to turn things around to stay in the top 5 next week. He's still putting up impressive numbers, 24.7 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 4 blocks per game. Oh, and if you saw that highlight of Ja Morant's dunk on Wembanyama the other day, don't worry, it didn't count. Next up, he's got a chance to make a statement against Memphis on Friday. At number 4 is Karl Anthony Towns of the New York Knicks, who's been dealing with some wrist and thumb issues. He had to sit out a game, but the injuries aren't serious enough to keep him on the bench for long. Before the injury, Towns was doing his thing, dropping 30 points and grabbing 18 rebounds against Giannis and the Bucks. He's still averaging 25.4 points at 13.9 rebounds per game, and he's in the running to be named a starter for the All-Star game. Giannis Antetokounmpo holds steady at number 3. He's been averaging 31.3 points, 11.8 rebounds, and 6.1 assists for the season, though his scoring has dipped to 27.3 points per game in January, his lowest monthly average this season. But that's mostly because the Bucks are playing better now, and Giannis doesn't need to carry as much of the load. He's still the leading vote-getter for the All-Star game, showing how much respect the fans and the league have for him. At number 2 is Nikola Jokic, who's been dealing with an elbow injury that's caused him to shoot and score less lately. But Jokic isn't too concerned about it. His teammates are stepping up, and the Nuggets are starting to hit their stride. As Denver climbs the standings, Jokic's chance of grabbing another MVP trophy looks stronger, especially since he's still averaging 30.6 points, 13.2 rebounds, and 9.9 assists per game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is sitting pretty at number 1. He's been on fire, and the Thunder just came off a big win over the East-leading Cavaliers. Shai has dipped under 30 points only twice this month, both in blowout victories, and he's leading the league in scoring with 31.6 points per game. On top of that, he's 3rd in steals with 2 per game. With a favorable schedule coming up, including games against the Mavericks, Jazz, Nets, Blazers, and Warriors, Gilgeous-Alexander has plenty of opportunities to pad those numbers even more. As we hit the halfway mark in the season, Cade Cunningham has been one of the biggest breakout stars in the NBA. The Detroit Pistons guard is making a strong case for an All-Star spot, and one former player is bringing up an old prediction about him. Cunningham landed in Detroit after the Pistons won the 2021 draft lottery. Since he was taken as the number 1 pick, there's been endless debate about whether he's truly the top prospect from that class. Other notable names from that draft include Evan Mobley, Franz Wagner, Scotty Barnes, and Jalen Green. But with Cunningham now playing at such a high level, Kendrick Perkins thinks it's time to settle the argument once and for all. Now, after the game between the Pistons and the Rockets, Perkins jumped on X, formerly Twitter, to reignite the conversation about the young star. Perkins reminded everyone of his 2021 draft take, where he claimed Cunningham was the best perimeter prospect since LeBron James. Remember on draft night, I said that Cade Cunningham was the best perimeter player prospect since LeBron James. I guess it's time to revisit that conversation, Perkins tweeted. Cunningham's early NBA years were slowed down by injuries, but he's more than caught up now. He ended last season strong and is clearly ready to take the leap to star status. This season, Cunningham is one of the most well-rounded talents in the league. He's averaging a career-high 24.3 points per game, 6.5 rebounds per game, and ranks 3rd in assists with 9.3 per game. His elevated play has also sparked a huge turnaround for the Pistons. After finishing last season with the worst record in the league, they're now within reach of breaking their playoff drought. When a team lands the number 1 pick, they're hoping for a franchise cornerstone, someone who can carry the team for years to come. Based on what we're seeing this season, it's clear that the Pistons have found that in Cade Cunningham. What do you think, though? Could we really see Cade Cunningham being named MVP in the end? Let us know in the comments.